All right, we're good.
Yay, it worked.
Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to the latest episode of Press Start, the Alpha Nerds Guild podcast. I'm George, and I'm here with my co-host Mike. And we're here to talk to you about video games, as usual. So, Mike, what are you reading, watching, playing?
Actually, I picked up a book series. I got it right here next to me, called The Echoes of Earth, and this is actually the second book in it. It's, I don't know if you guys can see the author, but it's Katie Hay, Katyhaye, and it's a post-apocalyptic, kind of like a teenage novel, but it's really well written. I was surprised. So if you guys, if you're into the whole post-apocalyptic reading, that's definitely a good one to pick up.
Right on. What about playing? You playing anything cool?
Other than Warframe, let's see. I just installed The Witcher 3. I'm just barely getting into that. I'm always playing Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. I know people rip on it all the time, but I like it.
Oh, I didn't know you played Siege.
I love Siege.
It's probably the game I put the second most hours into in my life.
Greatest game ever, I'm telling you.
I don't know how it is on PC, but on Xbox the community is really bad, though.
The community's a little bit better, but it's still pretty toxic. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, if I used to have a group of guys where it was anywhere from 5 to 8 of us any night, and then it was fine because there's no team killing, none of that nonsense. So it was a lot of fun then. But when they stopped playing, I more or less stopped playing too. Sorry.
Yeah, and then no, you're good, man. And then on the indie side of things, I have a game that I picked up called Gunmetal Arcadia, which is on Steam. It's pretty cheap. And I don't know if you guys remember the old Nintendo Entertainment System game Faxanadu, where you had the little side-scrolling, you had a sword and a little magic ball that you shot out. It was a good game, but this one kind of takes it a little bit farther. The dungeons are random, so every time you die, they start over.
Okay.
But you get to keep whatever you upgrades you have, so it's kind of cool. I like it.
Right on. That's cool. It sounds kind of like Dead Cells in that respect.
Yeah, except the graphics. Yeah, except the graphics are way old school, like Castlevania 3 kind of thing.
Okay. Right on. Currently, I am playing. Let's see here. I've got back into Warframe. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I just got Excalibur Umbra.
I'm so proud of you.
I got review codes for Observer, which is a point-and-click story game. It's interesting. It's a little bit much for me, but I'm going to have my review up for it hopefully by the end of the week. And I'm also playing, I got a review code for a game called Speed Brawl.
Speed Brawl?
Yes. So it's like a Final Fight, Double Dragon type, button masher brawl game, but it's in a race. So you have to beat up guys and go to the next checkpoint, and beat up guys and go to the next checkpoint to complete the race. So it's tough.
That actually sounds fun.
It is a lot of fun so far. I've only played maybe half an hour, but I got the code yesterday, but played a little bit earlier. It's fun. I started watching season 2 of Luke Cage.
Oh, nice. Any good?
It's okay. I don't know. I like season 1 a lot more, I think. But I'm still maybe a third of the way through it, so there's still a lot to see. And I watched this really interesting series over the weekend on Netflix. I forget what it's called, but it's about a cabin competition that the Travel Bureau of Wales was holding, where it had to be a trailer that could be portable and fit on the bed of a tractor trailer, and this cabin had to be like Welsh themed and Welsh inspired, and there was a competition. So it's pretty interesting. I'll find the name of the show and put it in the comments afterwards. But
all right,
it was cool. So all right, well, our main topic tonight is battle royales. Why are they so popular? What's going on with them? Yeah, I'm not really a fan, but clearly you and I are in the minority here.
Right?
I mean, Fortnite is making an absurd amount of money. I know PUBG has waned some, but is still very popular. You've got other ones like Paladins is on the Switch. Now, H1Z1 I think was one of the first ones to really start the Battle Royale, wasn't it?
Yeah, and
Like successfully.
Paladins wasn't technically a battle royale either. It started out as a competition for Blizzard's what is it?
Overwatch.
Overwatch. Thank you. In fact, me, Hogo, and a couple of other people, we have our own little dream team that we set up when we do the Fortnite, or not Fortnite, but the Overwatch style.
Okay. Yeah, H1Z1. I don't think that's quite as popular as it was a few years ago. And now you get your major third-party developers are getting into it with Call of Duty Blackout's going to be out a couple weeks, I think. It's mid-October for this one. And everything I've heard from the stress tests during the beta is, they got up to 100 people per map, and it was running pretty smooth, at least on PC, and everything I've heard has been glowing reviews about it, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. And then in November, you've got Battlefield 5 is going to have a Battle Royale as well. It seems, like any multiplayer game shooter these days would put a Battle Royale mode in it. And I think eventually it's going to get to the point where the market is just saturated, and something's going to have to give. And historically speaking, the Call of Duty games always sell very well. They're always in the top 10. For the last 9 or 10 years, they've been in the top 10 of video game sales year in, year out. So I have a feeling that's going to hinder it's going to decrease the player base for probably PUBG and probably even Fortnite as well. I don't know about Battlefield. There's a lot of bad press going around about it right now, and I don't think it's necessarily warranted, but it doesn't seem to have the buzz that Call of Duty's generating. What do you think?
I tend to agree, honestly, because again, you're talking about a fan base that went from the double million digits to just a single million digit, and that's slowly dwindling down ever little by little, to the point where they've had to include modes where you couldn't you had respawn and just a small group of people, and that to me says, well, that just kind of sounds like life support at that point.
Yeah.
You went from hundreds and hundreds of people queuing up for games, whatever you want to say it, to just a couple of 20 or 30 people. That to me sounds like it's about time to just kind of let the pony die, shoot it, and move on. And of course, now that you have the big name people getting into the ring on this, you've got Call of Duty, Battlefield, you've got Fortnite, who's forking in a ton of parents' hard-earned cash on credit cards.
Have you heard about the Fortnite,
kids screwing their parents? Now? Yeah, I was tempted to do that myself, but it's good money. But I figure if I want to sell myself, there's a couple of gigolo bars around here that I can make some better money at. But now that you've got Call of Duty, Battlefield, and Fortnite raking in an obscene amount of cash on parents' backs, it's one of those things where all the ones that are trying to get into the market are, one, going to die, and two, I think if PUBG can't fix the problems that have been there from day one, along with the upgrades that need to happen, that should have happened with the last giant patch back in, I think it was June or something like that, June, July, and they never did. It's going to be that final nail in the coffin. Everyone's going to be like, well, I could get a good AAA game experience with the Battle Royale mode for the $60 and never have to pay for it again.
Yeah.
Instead of, taking up space on my computer or my PlayStation and it crashing whenever I run a car into a tree or whenever I jump over a rock or something, So it's done. It's at this point, it's go have your fun, ride it till it's dead, and then it'll be time to move on.
Yeah. I do think Fortnite will stick around a little bit longer than PUBG, mainly because it's one free to play, and that appeals to the kids. Like I know you mentioned, they're spending their parents' hard-earned money, but it has no cost point into entry. So that's still going to keep some people around, and I think it'll still do well. But I think PUBG is going to end up being the loser here, and probably Battlefield as well. Like I said, Battlefield 5's got a lot of bad press around it right now, and I don't think it's necessarily justified. EA has had they've had a rough year and a half or so, and
that was their choice, man. It's EA though. I mean,
but it EA. Seems like from what I've read, they're doing the right thing now, but people aren't forgiving them, which
too late.
I've always liked the Battlefield games. I've preferred them over Call of Duty, personally, just because they're larger maps. But I don't know if I'm going to get either Call of Duty Black Ops 4 or Battlefield 5.
The last time I played a Call of Duty game was Black Ops, the very first one. That was it. And after that, I was like, I am so tired of this crap of them rehashing the same garbage, and everything. I finally just put it down, and I'm like, I'm not picking it back up again. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I think I played a little bit with a buddy of mine, Modern Warfare 3. There was that like horde mode. I played a little bit of that, but yeah, I played Advanced Warfare, I think it was. Got a used copy, like towards the end of its life cycle, and it was fun for like a couple weeks to get back into it.
See, the one I missed was Modern Warfare 2. That was the last time I remember having any fun with that game because I had a group of people that I played with. There was a lot of people on. The voice chat wasn't. I don't even know how to say it. Like not everybody in the game, but it was just your team, And now, like in the beginning of every game, at least on the PC, it got to the point where you could hear them. Like, oh, your mom, and I did all these horrible things, and I'm just like, I don't want to hear that crap. I just want to talk to my team, get the game done, and go to the next one.
Yeah, but yeah, I have a feeling that Black Ops 4 is going to come back, and it's going to bring Call of Duty back to a place of relevance in the FPS realm, and especially with adding the Blackout mode, their battle royale. The zombies are always popular. The multiplayer is always popular. I know some people were complaining that there was no story mode, but I'm sure Activision's run the numbers and realized that a significant portion of the gaming population doesn't even touch the story mode. So.
That's sad because I'm that little micro fraction that actually does.
I used to as well. If nothing else, to get used to the controls. Why do you think the Battle Royale games are so popular compared to other multiplayer shooters?
Honestly, I think it's because it's easy to pick up. I think anybody can jump into it and just play it and run the pattern of, okay, that was a bad idea, let's try it again. There's no penalty for dying. There's no penalty for really losing or not not getting past a certain point like there would be in most story modes where you would have to go back to a checkpoint. It's just, oh, I died, try again. The reset factor, I think, is what really calls people in. And not only that, I think it's the fact that anybody can do it. Anybody can pick it up, jump in, and try it. There's no learning curve. There's no, unless you want to devote time to it, there's no learning curve. So they hook you really fast, and they get it to the point where you're like, oh, well, maybe I can do better.
Okay, yeah, maybe. I tried a little bit of Fortnite when it was released on the Switch. And I played 2 matches. The first one, it landed to the ground and ran around for 30 seconds and got killed. And I was like, well, this is dumb. And then the next one, I landed in a building and I figured out how to build walls. And I enclosed myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm all set now. And then someone built a ramp and ran up and dropped down and killed me. And I said, all right, I've had enough. I personally don't get the appeal. Sorry, I'm a little sick.
It's all right. It's Ultra Minecraft for virgins. That's what it is.
For my money, the FPS that I prefer these days is still Rainbow Six Siege. I haven't played in a while because, again, the community can be bad, but it's a really well-made game. Do you think this Battle Royale trend is going to continue much past this year? Or do you think the market's going to move on and tastes are going to change?
Now, see, here's the weird conundrum. I think this is what's going to happen personally. I think it's going to become something that they throw into the game that everybody expects, but nobody's going to play anymore. It's kind of like the story mode on Call of Duty. Everybody expects it to be there. They want to try it, and then nobody ever touches it because they're like, "Hey, everybody's online. Let's jump in."
Yeah, I think you're right. It's especially with Call of Duty. I have a feeling that 10-on-10 team deathmatch is just it's going to keep drawing people in.
That's going to be miserable.
But I that's what people want. That's what people are used to. I mean, I know when I used to play it, I liked like domination and other modes, but everyone just wanted to go to the team deathmatch. So I don't know. I don't think the market for the battle royales is gonna last. I think the next new game that comes out that's online multiplayer is gonna kind of knock it down. You know, I mean, you saw for the longest time Rocket League was a phenomenon. You know, that just came out of nowhere that took people from games like Destiny and Call of Duty and Battlefield. And I have a feeling that in the next year or two you're going to see a game that does something similar. So we'll see. It's
which is sad because I really like Rocket League. Like I play that with Craig and everybody. It's a great game.
Yeah, no, it is. What I'm saying is that you're going to see another game come out, and it's going to similar to the way Rocket League emerged, and it's going to take away your Fortnite, your PUBG, your Battle Royale crowd. They're going to find a new online game. So, all right, let's move on to the indie game spotlight. Now, I know we had a couple issues last week, and I don't think this part got captured, so we're going to talk about a Small Robot Story again and Hovership Havoc briefly. Hovership Havoc is a twin-stick shooter where you play in one of, I think, 6 hovercraft, and you shoot things. You're on like a space station. It's fun. I played it at a game dev festival here in Rochester a couple weeks ago. It's made by Snow Day Software out of Buffalo, New York. It got number 2 in the New York State Indie Game Dev Festival or competition they had earlier this year. So it's a fun game. It should be out on Steam and Xbox in February-March timeframe. So keep an eye out for Hovership Havoc. Sorry. Next up, we have a Small Robot Story, which it's a fun little platformer where you play as a small robot, and it was made by a good friend of mine. Full disclosure, it was inspired by the album him and a friend made in college about 2 game developers that make a video game about a small robot. Mike, you want to talk some more about it?
Yeah, because I've dumped a lot of time in this game. Actually, as small as it is, and it's exactly what it says it is, a small robot story. I have had a great time with this game. Again, full disclosure, there are no secrets in this game. There are no hidden areas. There are no, hidden power-ups that you don't get per the storyline. But again, for the $5, you get a small robot story, and it's inspired by Mega Man. A little bit of Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers from the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's kind of a mashup of a lot of things, and I find the game to be just a comforting, relaxing time.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, bullet hell. There's no, bad checkpoint system. Because, I mean, it's literally, you get 3 lives, and you get checkpoints all throughout the level. When you run out of lives, you start the level over. It's that simple. It's the old school Mega Man 1 and 2 system. And I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a button masher. It's a run and gun. And there's a small enough story in there to where you have something to read and you have something to do in between the fighting scenes. I liked it. I think that whoever put the time and money into this game, and of course there are updates coming, as he said. The developer said on the site on Steam. I think it was a well done piece.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fun game. Yeah, it's available on Steam only. $5, well worth the money. It's a good palate cleanser in between like big games that are taking up your time. You're looking for something fun and quick and easy to play. We recommend A Small Robot Story.
Yeah, definitely. It took me, I think, an hour to beat. Yeah, easy.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I also want to talk. Like I said earlier, I got the review code for Speed Brawl. That game's so far. I've only played a couple stages. It's a lot of fun. I like the art style. It's very much reminiscent of your 16-bit, but the graphics are much better. It's got a steampunk style. It's set in London in 1888, I think. But you've got this cool tag team option where I've only unlocked 2 fighters. I'm guessing there are more. But you can swap in and out, and when they swap in and out, they do an attack, so you can use that to your advantage. It's a fun game. I'm going to keep playing it this week. Hopefully by next week, late next week, I'll have the review up for it. So, what about you, Mike? Any indie games you want to talk about?
Again, I got a bunch on my list, man. I mean, there's Gunmetal Arcadia, there's Hollow Knight, Riptail. I have so many games that I play, man. It's hard to nail them down. But one of the really fun ones, and I don't know if a lot of people know about it, is Riptail. I think I talked about it once before. I had bought it for a couple of the guys in Alpha Nerds that were saying that they didn't have a lot of money. And I'm like, well, the replay value in this game is pretty cool. You're literally just running around as a samurai or a swordsman, I guess, and you get 3 attacks that take up crystals at the top of the screen, and you can chain the attacks together to get more points and money and everything. It's black and white with just a little bit of red for the blood and the scarf that follows your character. And I literally, I picked this up on a whim, and I got to tell you, I go back to this game all the time. I go back to this when I don't want to play anything major. I don't want to get involved with other people in multiplayer games. I don't feel like developing or delving into the Final Fantasy games that I've got because it's just going to take too much time. You could pick this up and put it down as many times as you want, no problem. Another one that's kind of similar is Downwell. I don't know if a lot of people know about that, but it's literally, oh my god, it's a little crazy. You basically play a little stick figure guy or a little blobby guy, and he has gun boots. And you're literally falling down this well, and you use the gun boots to shoot the enemies below you. And you get shotgun mods, and you get rapid fire mods, and big shot mods. There's little secrets everywhere in the well that you can get. And believe it or not, as simple as it sounds, it's a very hard game to get into. Like, get past the first couple levels, because this is going to take you. What's the saying? Anybody can play it, but it takes a lifetime to master. Or whatever. That's this game in a nutshell. It's a lot of fun. I highly suggest it. It's called Downwell.
And is that only on Steam?
I think it's on Steam. Yeah. So I don't know if it's on Switch or anything else. Believe it or not, I'm not entirely sure on that.
Let me check. That sounds interesting.
It's a lot of fun, actually. I mean, it's literally the most simple controls. You got one button to fire, and you've got your jump and your move back and forth buttons, and that's it.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's on PlayStation 4, Vita, and Switch.
I'll be darned. Check it out, guys.
Or it's coming to Switch.
It's $3, yeah.
Right? You have to check it out. What other... I'm going to talk about The Observer a little bit. That's an indie game by Bloober, I think it's called. They made Layers of Fear. It's I don't want to call it a point and click, but that's basically what it is. It's very similar. You do more walking around than in say like a Telltale Games. Rest in peace. Point and click. Rutger Hauer is the main character. He's an observer, which, as I've gathered so far through the story, is like a detective for the Krakow Police Department in Krakow, Poland. and it's set in 2084 or 2086, something like that. And he has cybernetic implants that help him investigate crimes, and it's the interface with it's pretty cool. You've got one that's a bioscanner and one that's an electromagnetic scanner to scan for biological evidence or EM evidence, and the mechanic on that works kind of well, but it can be difficult to find the things to scan at times and then to lock on to which one you want to scan, because you might have several different biological objects to scan right next to each other. As you use your scanners more, you become desynchronized, which causes the visuals in the game to get kind of pixelated and get fuzzy. You get some frame rate issues, but I think it's designed that way because it's these implants in his brain are causing him to not be able to perceive the real world as he should. So you have to take pills to resynchronize. The game is kind of disturbing. It's well written, but the story is very disturbing. Some of the visuals are a bit much, but so far it's a good game. I don't think you can. I'm saying a lot. I don't think there's any lose to it as far as I've seen, because you're basically investigating a crime scene, and you just walk around this apartment building that's very poorly laid out. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I had done a little bit more research into what it was before I started playing it, because it's not a game you want to play with the lights off. Yeah.
So you're saying it's a horror game, really?
Yeah, borderline snuff film. It's
whoa, yeah. So buyer beware, man.
Yeah, it can be a bit graphic at times. When you go into murder victims, you use his synchronization tool to jack into murder victims' brains and relive their last few memories. It kind of reminds me of Altered Carbon.
Yeah, I was gonna say that definitely sounds like Altered Carbon.
But yeah, if you're into games like that are story driven and you don't mind very graphic content, I'd recommend it. So
creepy.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got video game news, upcoming games. Been hearing a lot about Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out next month at the end of October. And from what I understand, Rockstar Games has put a lot of detail into this one. And I would say a little too much detail, to the point where, I don't know if you read this, the horse's testicles shrink and grow with the temperature outside.
I say nay, okay?
No pun intended.
Sorry, I'm just a little hoarse.
The game looks visually, it looks stunning. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to play. I'm sure it's going to be up for Game of the Year with most outlets. I'm just surprised that they put that much detail into it, where I don't know if anyone would really notice it unless it got pointed out by the devs.
No, there's a furry out there that would have been like, oh my god, it's so realistic.
Fair enough. Yeah, I saw that, and it just struck me as odd that they put that much detail into it.
Really, really odd, because somebody must have a really weird idea out there.
I'm hoping with that, though, that as the seasons change in the real world, the weather changes in the game, because that would be awesome. Not many games do anything like that. Animal Crossing did. But, yeah, I'd like to see more games
trying to figure out if I want
seasons.
Yeah, at the same time, I'm trying to figure out if I want to stare at a horse's balls. That's just.
I know I don't. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get the game or not. From what I've seen, and this is just my impression, they keep talking about the hunting and gathering and fishing and all that. And my concern is that it'll end up being such a major component of the game where it overtakes progressing in the story. And you saw something similar to that in Fallout 4 with the settlements. So, I don't know. What do you think?
Another settlement needs your help.
Yeah, it got to the point where eventually I'm just like, yeah, they can burn.
I marked it on your map. I don't care.
What do you think about Red Dead?
I like the games. I always have. I thought they were well done. I've always been a fan of like the old Western stuff, so that was a really cool thing for me. But at the same time, I don't know if the market is right for this game currently. Everyone's focusing on Battle Royale and just sci-fi and everything. And it kind of makes me wonder, is Red Dead Redemption going to do its best possible sales within a weird market at this time, especially because we're coming up to Christmas and the major release items that are going to be coming out, and I have a feeling Rockstar is going to get screwed because they're going to release it at the wrong time, and it's going to get buried under higher level or bigger names rather.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, it probably would have. Would have been better if they released it just they did the last one, the May-June timeframe.
Yeah, see, I think that would have been a much better idea.
I still think it's going to sell well, though. I mean, you have a lot of people still playing GTA 5, which is still like every month one of the top selling PlayStation 4 games. I don't know how after it's been out this long. And I think you're going to see a lot of them at least temporarily go play Red Dead for the story. So it's still going to sell well. People know the reputation Rockstar has. They make quality games.
Well, they do, yeah.
The online launch in November.
I don't doubt that it's going to sell well. I just think that they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. They're not getting the maximum potential out of the sales because people are going to be like, well, I'll go get this, then I'll go get that one. Yeah. Then I'll go get Red Dead Redemption. And I think it's going to hurt them a lot with that initial, buyer's spree.
Yeah, it's very well possibly could happen. Guess we'll find out in about a month. Another upcoming game coming out, Mario Party. Super Mario Party for the Switch. Looks like a lot of fun. I've never played a Mario Party, but judging by how good the motion controls in the Switch are improved over the Wii and the Wii U, which I think we've talked about before, you're going from like a Yugo to a Ferrari.
Yeah, quite literally.
I think it's going to do well. It's not going to be Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild well, but I think it's still going to have its base, and it's going to sell pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's Mario Party for some reason does this weird thing where it's like the game comes out and everybody loves it, and then they make two more and they suck, and then they make another really great one, and I think this is going to be the great one right here. So, this will be the one to get. Just don't play it with anybody that you want to stay friends with.
I'll keep that in mind. Did you see that there's a Fist of the North Star coming out on PlayStation 4?
Are you serious?
Yes. I figured this would be the kind of game you were into.
God, man, talk about old. Jesus, I feel old.
I'm checking to see if it comes out on Steam as well. Or it's coming out on Steam. Comes out October 2nd. Apparently it was released in Japan in March. Yeah, just the PlayStation 4. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, wait a second, is this like a remake of the... Are they just, porting the old 8-bit one? But no, it's a completely remade game, so...
Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise. I can't even believe Lost Paradise. I can't even believe this right now.
Yep. So
I remember watching Fist of the North Star on Adult Swim back in high school.
Yeah, I've never seen the cartoon. I remember playing the game on the Nintendo, renting it from the local video store, and it was incredibly difficult. And I think part of the problem is I probably didn't have the manual, so there's probably something I was missing.
Probably.
But I remember playing it, and I know it's a game I often hear people talk about, and it's a popular anime series. So, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is going to be out on the 5th, I believe. PlayStation 4, Xbox, and Steam. And streaming on Switch in Japan, which is interesting. Have you heard about this? What some of the developers are doing with the Switch in Japan?
Yeah, I had heard a part of that. I hadn't read the full thing yet, though.
So what it is just when you stream a game on hardware, it uses less processing power than actually playing the game on the hardware. So you can achieve better frame rate by streaming it. Nintendo did this. Well, Nintendo and Capcom did this with Resident Evil 7 in Japan. So you pay for I think it's a 6-month subscription to the game, and you have unlimited streaming of it during that time. Japan has a really advanced internet. Yeah, well, compared to ours, their internet system, their Wi-Fi system, is a lot more advanced than ours is. So you can feasibly stream those games there. Certain areas in this country you can, but there's a lot of places you can't. Like where I live, we have okay internet, not the greatest. But it's interesting that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is going to be available to stream, because I don't know if they've ever had an Assassin's Creed on a Nintendo platform before. Maybe on the DS. But I think it's also going to be launching with the release of the game on PlayStation and Xbox and PC. So to me that's interesting that Ubisoft is putting that out there. Hopefully in the next year or two we'll start seeing some of these higher end games streaming here in the United States. So we can play some of those games on the go.
See, and I have a problem with it. I have a real problem with this. This is setting a really weird precedence in our gaming communities, to where they're only going to allow you to stream the games. They're not going to give you the hard copies. They're not going to give you the digital content. They're just going to be like, well, you have to connect to our servers to play your game, and you can only do it for so much amount of time, to where you have to pay us for the game again. And I don't like where this is going. This is the whole DRM thing over again. This is the whole, well, you have to have a specific code to download your game so many times before you have to pay for it again. I'm sorry. If I buy a game, I want my hard copy. I want to have that game forever. If I want to pick up a game that I bought 20 years ago, I can. But nowadays I can't without having a password. I can't do it without having a new account or repaying for the game. And I think that's stupid.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's something that we should have over here. I think that's a really bad idea. Really bad idea, especially because it's going to get to the point where nobody's going to want to buy the games. And the game market's going to crash, and we're going to see E.T. all over again, to where nobody's going to want to do anything with it.
I think the streaming would be fine in cases like the Switch, so long as the right to the game wasn't time-based. So you pay your $60, the game is yours, but the only way the hardware could achieve playing on it is through streaming.
See, but that's still my problem. I still have a problem with that. My dad, of all people, who doesn't even game, brought up a very good point, which is, what happens when the system goes down?
Yeah.
What happens when they stop supporting it? You no longer have the content. You no longer have the game. You just have a brick sitting on your desk that has no purpose whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's my problem. I want hard copies. I want something that I can put into my system, a chip or a cartridge or a CD. I don't care. I just want a hard copy of